Guys, I have some important news that I do want to share with you. Now, this is for all the people that are planning on purchasing a brand new home out here in Las Vegas. And this is something that you need to be aware of. Now, I've been selling real estate now for about 16 years. I've closed over 1,000 transactions, and majority of my home sales are new home sales, right? And I recently just closed a transaction sometime in August. So our closing date for our client was August 26th of 2025. And he received a notice, a delinquent notice from the county, from the Treasury Department, stating that he owes roughly about like $4,600 for property taxes. And kind of baffled me. I was like, why do you owe this money when we went directly to the title company and everything was paid off, transferred free and clear? So what has happened here, and I think a lot of people need to be aware of what's going on. So close date was August 26th of 2025. Okay. The way that we negotiated this deal, that the seller, the builder, to pay for the property tax all the way up to September 30th. Okay. And all this is all in the settlement statement. Now, this was a standing inventory product, which means that the builder had already picked out all the options. It was ready to go. The structure's there, the home's there. All we had to do was close the deal and move in. Now, the letter from the county that he had received says that he owes $4,660.19. So I went back and I looked at the settlement statement, right, to find out why does he owe this money. But first, we had to take a look and figure out what's going on. So we started off with the title company. We looked at the settlement statement, and his original loan was directly, from the builder, which is Home American Mortgage Corporation. Okay, so he had finance with them, and after about 60 to 90 days, the loan got sold over to a different bank in Chase, and this is actually normal. So I told him, hey, go contact Chase, find out what's going on with that, because what happens is once you pay everything completely off at escrow and title gets transferred to you, what happens is now you make a payment to that service company, and it's basically an escrow company that you're making a payment to. So they hold a couple things, right? So when they collect the money, they get principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And these are actually impounds for the insurance and the taxes, right? So that way the taxes could be paid every quarter. However, come to find out with the county that the reason why he owes this fee of $4,660 is because of a thing that they have on here. It's called new construction settlement property tax. Now remember this, guys, this is very important. So typically when you close on a home, hey, all this should be paid for, okay? And then when the buyer moves into his home, he's making payments to that mortgage company, the mortgage sells it to a different company, you're still making the same amount of payment, you shouldn't owe these fees. But this is where the problem actually had lied, okay? So what had happened was the property taxes, right, was paid in full, but it was only assessed based upon the land, not the structural. So the title company's job is to make sure that they pull all the demands from the county, the utilities, whatever it is, right, when they transfer titles, so that way it's free and clear. However, it got transferred, then the county recorded that there's a new construction settlement property tax. Now they're saying that there's a structural on the property, so it's going to cost more money. The value is completely different, and that's totally understandable. But now what has happened is once that loan got sold to a different service company, now the county is saying that you owe us money. Now, this is something that's very important. Like, the title company should have caught this, okay? But it's also not the title company's fault, because the title company pulls all the demand directly from the county and says, hey, what does this consumer actually owe you before we transfer this free and clear? And typically the seller will pay for it because that's how it's negotiated on a brand new home build. But what has happened is the county didn't record that. Buyer buys a property, and then now the next quarter comes up with property taxes that's inserted, right? The supplemental property tax. Now the owner is required to pay for it, okay? And that's $4,000. Now, typically what happens is the county comes out to the property throughout the process of the build to sign off on it. Now, in order for somebody to move into the property, you have to get a certified occupancy. This is where somebody from the county comes out and says, there's a structure, we're signing off, everything is good to go, right? Somebody could actually move in. We need that to fund the deal and to get the loan to buy the home. However, it looks like the county didn't put this in here prior to it. And if you don't put this into prior to it, how does the title company know to see what that total balance is? Deal closes and now the county files this. Now the client owes $4,600. Now this is a learning lesson for myself and for you buyers out there. So if you're negotiating a deal with a new home build, you need to make sure to take a look at the settlement statement to make sure with that escrow officer, hey, has the county included the new construction settlement property taxes? This is very, very important because the last thing you want to do is move into the home, you spent all this money, and you don't have enough to make this payment. Now the county files a lien against you, and what happens is if you don't make the payments, there's penalties, okay? So again, this is something that I've learned, and like I said, I've been doing this now for 16 years, never had this problem, but this is a learning lesson. This is something that I'm always going to look at the settlement statement for this itemized line with the county, okay? So if somebody dropped the ball here, now this is something I'm assuming. It's not a guarantee that this is what has happened. But, you know, my client did reach on out to the county and basically had a conversation with them, and they said that this happens a lot. But the strange thing is that majority of my home sales are all brand new homes. I've never had one client ever call me and said what this is. But yeah, this is a learning lesson. So very important information, and we're always learning something. And again, I just wanted to share this with you. So make sure to check this before you close on a deal. Other than that, that's all I got for today. If you guys like more video content like this, please let us know in the comments below. Other than that, I appreciate you guys, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.